I would like to call the May 11th meeting of the Diversity, Racial Equity, and Inclusion Committee to order. As a first order of business, before going any further, just want to remind folks that this is a recorded meeting, so the proceedings here would be taped and made available to be viewed by other residents in town. So just wanted to make sure that folks were aware of that. As usual, wanted to check in to see if we can.
Sorry.
That's okay, no problem. Have the minutes from our last meeting. Would like to have those approved, and I think the minutes that our last meeting was. Did I have the wrong date on there? Perhaps I had the wrong date. At any rate, our last meeting was the 27th. Was it 27th or the 30th?
Yes.
27th. Okay. At any rate, everybody got the you got your minutes. I'm assuming folks had an opportunity to review the minutes.
Yep.
Any questions or concerns?
Not for me.
There was one tiny little typo. I don't have the minutes in front of me. I fixed it. I'll publish it as one word. I think it was sign or something, but I don't have the minutes in front of me right now.
All right,
But
thanks. I was sorry I was so late on them. I was away.
That's
so
okay.
it was
It's okay. You were on vacation.
last minute. And then Mother's Day.
I just took the liberty of fixing the one little tiny typo in that thing.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
I second.
All agreement?
Yeah.
Agree.
All right.
Aye.
We're all set. Great. Good. Well, I believe at this point we have, is Deb with us yet?
She's not, actually. I at the last minute sent her a copy of the agenda again, and she's listed as others invited, but I didn't get a response from her. So, and I just clicked another request to join, and I'm calling her right now. It says calling. No response yet. So we were having some problems with our email at work today. So she might be having some technical difficulties. Let's skip over that. And if she happens to pop in, can we take her out of order?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. All right. Well, we'll just move down the agenda. The select board update. We wanted to let the committee know that we will be doing a select board update on June the 7th. Would be the date of that update. So at that point, we'll go in, we'll share the information, everything that we've been up to since we spoke with them on, I guess it was January the 25th was our first one. So we'll do that. Certainly we'll share whatever information we get from them back with the team. Let's see. Now we'll move next into the.
Phil, can I ask a question before we move on?
Sure.
Is this this presentation to the select board also the time when they're going to determine if we can continue in our roles to continue the work that we're doing?
I would assume so. I would assume so.
Okay.
So that's my expectation at this point. I've not gotten any official information to the contrary. So I would assume that's where we are. So that's what we'll do. Trish?
Yes. I just wanted to mention that Christina Bruce in the town manager's office and I are working on getting a list together. She typically in May reaches out to every existing board and committee member and just asks if they're interested in getting reappointed. So far as I know, she hasn't gotten any direction from the select board. But if you get an email from her, regardless of what may or may not happen with June 7th, just respond accordingly to Christina's request.
Okay, and you expect that will be in email?
Sometime, probably by the end of next week at the latest.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, good to know. Thank you. Let's see. All right, well, we'll keep moving down the line here on our we'll call it the working group update, but we'll just check in to see how we're doing project wise. We don't have any rhyme or reason around how we want to start that. So, who feels like they want to start?
I'll start.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I haven't scheduled an Indigenous Peoples meeting. We're focusing solely on changing Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day.
Mhm.
And we provided that blurb for you, Phil, that I believe, Latasha, you were going to create a PowerPoint slide around that, or Latasha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Yeah.
hear you.
I didn't know if you guys were going to present it at that meeting.
At this point, I'm not sure. I need to get back to you folks, with an update, on exactly where we are with regards to that. So that's something I owe you at this point. I don't know, how that meeting's going to unfold. So I just want to get some clarity on that before I make any kind of commitments around that.
And
And
that's
Carly,
fine.
it was my
I'm sorry, go ahead.
suggestion. Sorry, it was my suggestion to have a PowerPoint presentation with a couple of slides and telling why we were looking for this change. But I believe it was the young man who stated that he would pull it together.
Okay, all right. So I will work with Rafi on that.
Rafi,
To put
yes,
together,
sorry.
I'll put that together with Rafi. I'll reach out to him. I held off scheduling another meeting because it really, the next meeting for us is we have to write the article, but we wanted to make sure that this was presented to the select board before we wrote an article that we would put in front of them to sign.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much further we can go until we socialize this first with the
Right.
select board.
Yeah.
So, but in the meantime, we can certainly put together the PowerPoint slides, one or two, for the presentation.
Thank
Tricia,
you.
you had your hand.
I did. I just wasn't sure if now would be, I wanted to let you guys know that Deb Sirianni has joined the meeting. So Carly, did you want to finish your presentation first, or was that everything you wanted to say?
That was everything other than to say, hi, Deb.
Okay, so if
I know
you
Deb from the
wanted
dog park.
to bring Deb Sirianni in at this point,
Hi.
she's available.
Sorry, everybody. I had some network issues, so I got here though. Thank you so much for having me.
So,
go ahead, Phil. Sorry.
oh no, I was just going to welcome Deb to our meeting. I know Deb from the senior center, which
Hello.
being a proud senior from Chelmsford, have an opportunity to use the center. It's not far from my house, so that works out great. But I know that Deb has been working, a lot on the age-friendly initiative, and I know she had some information that she wanted to update us with. So without any further ado, I'll hand it over to Deb, and she's got the floor.
Oh, thanks so much. Thank you very much. I'm here to listen as much as to talk. So I'm here to hear a little bit about what you're doing, let you know a little bit about what we're doing, and see if some of those goals intersect, as I'm assuming that they might. It seems like some of the same things that we're looking to do at the senior center are what you're trying to do here. So the first thing I always say at the senior center is we want to welcome everybody and make them feel welcome. And that's the first job that we always have. And so that includes making sure that people of all sorts are, welcome there, no matter. And so we want to make sure that those goals, the goals that we set, are inclusive. And so the goal of the age-friendly community and initiative is to make sure that that people who are 60 and up are included in the conversations and goal setting of the town. And so one of the things that we're doing now is we're trying to set goals that make people who are maybe have dementia, included in the conversation, people who are caregivers and maybe at home helping other people, in part of the conversation and make sure that they're included in activities in the town and civic engagement of the town, being able to have access. A lot of what we're doing is focusing on transportation and making sure that people can actually get to activities that might be happening in the town. And then also making sure that our senior center is representing all of the seniors in town and making sure they're all feeling welcome. And that includes doing multicultural activities. And so that's kind of where we're coming from with this, with some of these goals from the Age Friendly Initiative and from the Senior Center itself. So I just wanted to kind of let you all know that we're welcoming a conversation and a dialogue between this committee and our committee so that we can understand a little bit better how to do that and be more inclusive. So I thank you for having me.
Sure thing. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Deb, I don't know that everyone on our committee is kind of like, well versed in the Age Friendly Initiative. If you could just give us just an overview of the town's involvement, how in what we've done, what the town's done so far, any things that perhaps you haven't done yet, but things you might be planning, looking at, that sort of thing, that would be helpful.
Sure. So the Age Friendly Initiative was started from the World Health Organization as a model of a community that includes people from 60 and up in their goal setting. And so that has like 8 domains of livability, and that includes housing, it includes transportation, it includes social participation, diversity and inclusion, and respect. And those are some of the things that that helps you set goals. Mm-hmm. And so some of the things that we've done so far is, for instance, during the pandemic, we helped to get people who did not have computers access to some of the information that was out there that they may feel like they weren't being connected to. We got people tablets, and we were able to sign them up for vaccines, things like that. So that would be one way of including people, maybe understanding that technologically they're not quite as connected, although so many of our seniors are. So that's one of the initiatives that we took. Another might be, gosh, now I should have brought a list.
That's okay. No, all that, any of those things are helpful.
Yes, so it also includes our programming. We're looking at offering, we offered a program called, oh gosh, it's a Zoom meeting, and it's for people who are having difficulties with hoarding behaviors, and it's called Buried in Treasures. And so that's one of the initiatives that we started through the Age Friendly Initiative. We're connecting people to a support network and a support group to make sure that they have the resources to make things better in their lives. And so that's another one. We're working with the police, we're working with the fire department. Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing is we're training our townwide employees, training them on dementia-friendly practices. So we had 20 employees, town employees, trained across from the town hall, the DPW, the police, and the fire, all in a little bit, understanding a little bit more about dementia and some of the folks that might come into their offices and need assistance, how to help them a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So we're always looking for new ideas. We're always looking for more people joining us and helping us with, setting goals and and making sure that they're followed through with. And so I just wanted to let people know that we're here and we like what you're doing, and we want to help you do what you're doing as well.
Sure, great, doing great. I think we have a question here. Latasha's got her hand up.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Deb. Nice to meet
Hi.
you.
Nice
Thank
to
you
meet
for coming
you.
to our meeting today. I want to also thank you for what you're doing with Age-Friendly Chelmsford. Back a while ago, I was a candidate for the select board, and I read that Chelmsford actually has the AARP approval for being an age-friendly community.
Yes.
Is that something that we broadly broadcast and share with the community? Because I think it's something for us to be really proud of.
We have, but we should probably do some more, obviously,
Okay.
if you're not sure about it.
Yes.
But this year's been a bit difficult to get the word out on things. But
Well, one area I was wondering if we could help each other is if we could put a link on your page to the diversity committee and vice versa, so that when we have events, we can share them with different communities.
sure, that sounds fine with me. Absolutely. And if there's ever anything that you would like to um, advertise that you think would be helpful or especially interesting for seniors, then we can put something in our newsletter as well. And we have a Facebook page, and so we like to share things there. And like the library, some of the programming at the library, we put in our newsletter when we think it might be interesting to seniors, and that's a great way for people to hear
Yes.
what's going
Thank
on.
you.
Thank
Carly,
you.
Carly, I think you had your hand up next.
Hi, Carly.
Hi there. How are you?
Good, you?
Good to see you again. I just had one question, Deb. I was wondering, do you have like a top three issues or challenges that the seniors in Chelmsford are facing that, you know, maybe we can help with, maybe address, or are there top of mind things?
Well, one thing that we're focused on this year is food security. And so we're just making sure that people have the availability of those resources. And we're serving, I think, 150 or 160 Meals on Wheels every day now. People have been homebound. And so that's a big issue this year, especially, and has been an increasing need. So we're helping folks with that. I think a lot of people who are at home and otherwise well feel kind of overwhelmed with their household chores, like need help with handyman services or with small tasks that are difficult to do now that they're aging, that they would really like to stay in their own home, and they feel like they need some assistance there. Transportation is a big access issue. So for instance, if you don't have any transportation, and you usually depend on the senior center to provide transportation, a nighttime town meeting might not be accessible to you because our transportation isn't provided at night. And so, that's the type of thing that we're looking at, expanding our transportation options through a volunteer transportation program in the Age-Friendly Initiative. And that's one of the things that we've been looking forward to in the next year, hopefully. So those are some of the things that I think we've been focusing on the most.
And the Meals on Wheels, I had wanted to volunteer for that, but I understood that you guys had it restricted because of COVID to drivers that were certified, or I don't know what the rule was, but
Well, at the beginning of COVID, we sent all of our volunteers home.
Right.
and our staff were delivering the meals.
Mhm.
So since then, we've started to bring our volunteers back. So we are accepting volunteers for Meals on Wheels, just like in the past, I would say month and a half. We're starting to add more volunteers and have our staff go back to other, things that we're used to doing as we reopen.
Okay, so that's potentially something that we can put on our website, maybe letting folks know that you're looking for volunteers for
Sure.
Meals on Wheels.
Yep. And we have a lot of volunteers that we had before that were raring to go and really wanted to come back. So we've been trying to get them back in place before we get brand new volunteers, but we may be accepting new volunteers as well.
Okay.
So I would just call the senior center and ask for Elena.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharice?
Hi,
Pardon?
thank you, Deb, for
Yeah.
being on. And I just wanted to commend the Senior Center for doing just a wonderful job over the years, because when my mother-in-law was alive and she lived with us, we would have her participate in the Senior Center activities, and they would come pick her up. She was part of the daycare, part of the, and it was such a blessing. It was a real blessing to have her at the Senior Center for half the day. So I was really grateful for that. And a lot of the activities that you all performed. And it was fun when I was there volunteering and, doing a lot of the activities. But now that I'm actually a senior, it's so hard to believe, So I'm like, wow, I am 60. I can't believe it. Is there a membership?
It's hard to believe looking at you. Like, really?
I'm like, it's hard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can really be an official member of the Senior Center now. So I'm looking forward when the pandemic is over, coming in and doing some of those evening activities where you see the parking lot completely full with so many people. That was their go-to place. And I know it has to be devastating since the pandemic that it's not, up and running as it usually is. So I wanted to just commend you and thank you for what the center represents in the community. You do an awesome, phenomenal job.
I have a really great team, so I'm very lucky, but thank you. I love that social day program. The social day program is actually open and has been since August, with limitations, of course. And we've spread out to like 3 rooms so we can have 6 people in a room. And, but we've been there, I think people's lifeline for the past few months. A lot of people who are caregivers just need that assistance just to go through their life and do simple, normal things. They just need a lot of support. So that's another, way that we can be age-friendly and dementia-friendly, is support programs like that. So thank you. I'm glad we helped you.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to mention too, Deb, if you see any parallels between what your domain is focusing on and the direction that we're going in, we've really been focusing on trying to feature events every month and things like that. So I'll try to loop Natalie in and getting the, is it Natalie that does the newsletter?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Try to loop that in a little bit. Right now, we're planning the Juneteenth event on the Common. So we're going to want to publicize that. It's a historic event, so it would be definitely beneficial for seniors to be aware of it. And a new event that's being planned is the Day of Peace and Justice on the Common in September. So those 2 things we're focusing on right now. So I'll make sure that as we get more details, I'll pass them on to Natalie. But again, Carly had mentioned cross posting on our website. So I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at our page. There's a lot.
I haven't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and one thing we haven't focused on at all is age. I mean, really, and disabilities with people of senior ages. So it's a whole new area that we haven't touched base on our website at all. So let's brainstorm a little bit and see what we can share. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
Sharice, is your hand up?
I'm sorry, I never took it down from the first time.
Okay,
But thank you again.
certainly. Deb, are there any areas, any things that you can think of that we can assist you with? You know, I know we've kind of identified, making sure that we're kind of cross-pollinating our online information. But are there any other things that you think we can do as a committee to help, further some of your goals as well?
Well, we'd like to have more of a multicultural flavor in our programming, and more representative of some of the folks who are actually in town.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're not a super diverse town, but I think that there's always great opportunity for learning for people and understanding a little bit more when we have multicultural events. And so just connecting us to things that you might be doing, or suggesting things that you think are really great that we could do as we open. Obviously we'll have to add more as we
Right.
go, but right
No,
now we're
that's
just trying to get back to what we were doing before, and it's like, oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
But it's coming, so that's good.
Okay, great. Latasha?
Yes, I just searched and I found that October 4th through 10th is Active Aging Week in the United States. So that's something that we can add to our calendar.
Nice.
Yes.
And May is Older Americans Month.
May's
Oh,
busy.
wow. May is a busy month.
Yeah.
So Deb, if you can, do you have a calendar feature on your page?
Yes, it's part of our newsletter, which is on our page. Yeah.
Oh, but the calendar module on the website,
Oh,
do you utilize that at
no.
all? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe I'll talk to Natalie about that too, because that's just another tool. And maybe we can share events on each other's calendars that way too,
Mhm.
because it's easy to copy from one calendar inside to another.
Yeah. Thanks.
I have a question.
Oh, okay. And let's see, Sharice, is your hand up this time?
Yes, I have a quick question. I'm sorry. I know you mentioned that you do have a senior newsletter that goes out, and I think many of us have received those. And I thought, part of that cross-pollination and blending our committee with what you're doing is, I don't know if I missed this, but two of the events that we're having, or any of the upcoming events, if it could be published in the newsletter to go out to the community. I don't know if that's something that can happen. Like our Juneteenth is coming up, but I don't know when your publication goes out. Like
Our
when do you
June
have to have?
yeah. So for the newsletter, you'd want the first week of the month prior. So for June newsletter, it would be like the first week in May that you'd really want to get, like, now. But we would still have possibility of fitting something into the June newsletter now. If there were even just a little blurb, about what is Juneteenth. Maybe people, a lot of people in the older generations just don't know, and haven't learned that yet. And so that might be a good little blurb for our newsletter, just to help people understand a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll get you something tomorrow, Deb.
That would be
Brian,
great.
if you can, do you have anything, kind of a little blurb drafted that you can send over to me? Not yet? No? Okay. I mean, I can find something and just send it over to Natalie so that we can get this in the newsletter for June.
Sure, that would be great.
Thank you for making room for us.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Any other questions for Deb? Right. Well, again, Deb, we are really glad that you stopped in, and I'm glad that you've given us kind of an update, because I knew that there's work going on, in this space. I had actually was talking with I think Fred Rousseau way before the pandemic hit, and we were talking about, some of the work that they were doing in the space. So it was good to get an update. And certainly, if there's again, even, obviously after this meeting, if you think of other ways that we can, be of assistance to you, get information to you, that sort of thing, please don't hesitate to let us know.
Thank you, and you as well.
Okay.
And you can
Thanks
feel
for
free to
having me.
stay and listen if you want, Deb. If you wanted to listen in for the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to.
Thanks, I will.
All right, great. All right. Well, I think what we can do is move back into our working group updates that we had started. And I think we had started with Carly, and she was talking about the Indigenous Peoples Day. Let's see. Brian?
Yeah, since we've mentioned Juneteenth about 15 times in the last 5 minutes, let's go ahead and discuss the updates. So we have had a lot of movement on different stuff. I've actually been keeping all of our most up-to-date information in a Google Doc that Latasha, Joe, Sharice, and I have editing permission on. So that's where we sort of smush all of the information together. So I'm just going to run down the list because there's been a lot of stuff that's happened since we spoke to Lieutenant Spence. I have contacted the 4 local churches. Central Congregational, we're all set. We can use that lot. Journey Church on the Common, we're all set. We can use that lot. St. Mary's, they say we can't really advertise because they might have a wedding or a funeral come up, so they don't want us to put that out there. So that's fine. And then I've been talking most often with the folks at First Parish because we're actually going to be using part of their stuff. So I actually went down there on my run today. I'm actually close enough so that if I go down the Freeman Trail, I can make it to the center in only about 2.5 miles. So I went down there and looked around, and it looks like that. So the big issue with First Parish is that they have a group for community table that is going to be coming in and cooking from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So they're going to get there before we start and leave before we finish. So they need to have some part of the parking lot still accessible. So we suggested that maybe they could also park at either Journey Church of the Common or the CCA because we also get to use their lot for parking. But if worse comes to worse, we can probably partition off the end of their lot, like there's like 5 spaces that are closest to the schoolhouse that I think we'd be able to use the rest of that area still and then have that be available for parking. And then we just have to work with the CPD to make sure that those 5 or 6 cars can get in and out. And if they don't park at someplace else. So parking, not going to be too much of an issue. So there we go. I spoke to Danielle Katufis over at the fire department fire prevention office. So basically to take care of them, we just need to give them the same plan that we give to the Board of Health. We need to include a couple extra details, but that is going to be that's going to be taken care of. Okay. I've contacted Trinity Ambulance. They're going to let the crews know that there is going to be an event that day. They're going to have one of the Chelmsford trucks be stationed near the event, and it's on their calendar, so they know what's going on with that. I have signed the permit that designates myself as the point of contact with the chief of police. So that has been all set. That's the one that goes to the police chief and town manager and all that stuff. So that's taken care of. We had a meeting with Amanda, Darcy, and Sue Rosa and Donna Greenwood over at the Board of Health. So that was a great discussion where they let us know what we're going to need to go through in order to give them the written plan that is due by next Saturday. So we have a couple things left that we have to go through, but at least we know what's required and what we need to give them in terms of information. Sharice managed to get us a meeting with Susan Gates over at the CCA. We are going to be able to use their parking lot. We are going to be able to use their bathrooms, but we are not going to publicize that. Basically because we don't want to have a ton of people going over there. But Susan says that she is going to be working with the Board of Health to get the right amount of signage and labeling to provide for adequate distancing within the CCA at those bathrooms. There is going to be somebody, she is going to have a staff member who's going to be able to sanitize it at the appropriate half-hour intervals that the Board of Health requires. And she's also going to try to set up a area on the front lawn where we can have up to 8 artists, local artists, display their work. So I think that is going to be pretty cool. One suggestion that I had, I'm actually reading this fascinating book called, believe it's called Envisioning and Emancipation. It's basically a exploration of the photographs that were used by basically everybody to envision how things were going in the slavery, in the, you know, in slavery and antebellum, during the Civil War, post all of that, and how photography, how people use photography in order to show their opinions, and you know, and use it as propaganda for abolitionists use photography as propaganda. It's a fascinating book. So like one idea I had is if maybe we could get like an exhibition of some of that old style photography, and then if we had like a new modern photographer who did the same sort of thing of like experiences of Black Americans, what have you, that kind of thing. There's just one thing that popped into my head. I just wanted to bring that up. Okay, so that's the CCA. Um, Latasha has gotten in touch with Pete over at Chelmsford Telemedia, and we have a tentative meeting to have that stuff scheduled and set up before the event happens, so that we're going to be able to have speakers, performers, whatever, if we can get a hold of those people. We're going to be discussing how to handle trash closer to the event with Lieutenant Spence. Joe is going to be our point person on creating advertising for social media. And speaking of advertising and media, I was thinking that we probably want to contact the Lowell Sun for pre-event and during event coverage. So we'll have to do that as we get closer to the event. But as I get to that point, I did have a question I wanted to pose to the group to at least have us start thinking about it, if not get a answer for it right away. Because I know we're going to get asked this question. And the question is, why are you holding this event when all the other town events for like Memorial Day and 4th of July have all been canceled due to the pandemic? So we need to have an answer for that. So just let that percolate in your head, and let me just go through the rest of this really quick. But that's the first thing. Just get that in your head, because we do need to have an answer. So we're going to need to prepare signage. And Latasha had the great idea of sort of copying an idea that the CCA does, and put a link, a QR code to the anti-racism pledge on a sign that we can have at the event, and then we can like bring that around and put it all over town and buy our events if we need to make it that much easier for people to sign up for the anti-racism pledge. So that'll be cool. Let's see. At some point, we're going to need to acquire supplies. We're going to need to get hand sanitizer, masks, that kind of thing. And so this brings up the big question, Trisha, do we have any budget for this at all?
Well, we still have money left over from the grant given to us from Lowell Sun.
Okay.
I have quite a few masks left over that were donated to me by a furniture company, actually, for the election. They're cloth masks. They're reusable. I have like a box of them, like a lot of them, over several hundred. So, and I have lots of hand sanitizer left from the election. So we're not going to have another election for a year. So I've got boxes of supplies left over that I can donate for this event.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be fine.
Okay, cool. The only other thing that,
Well,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
If we were to get the QR code printed out, we can just send you the invoice for that.
Yeah, I mean, again, we have to vote on any expenditures we have to vote on. We have to know how much it is, and then we have to vote is that an appropriate use of the funds? So.
Okay.
So Latasha and Brian, I have an idea, but we can talk about it at our next group meeting for that.
Cool.
Can I just, Brian, can I interject
yes,
on one thing that I've
right
had
ahead.
really good luck with supplies is that Amazon wish lists, people are really willing to like easily donate from like a wish list if you put it out online. So if we have like a list of supplies we need, we might want to rotate that first before we put expenditure into that. And then items like printing and more services, we can save our budget for that.
That's a great idea.
That's really cool. One other thing that we might need a budget for is so so one other thing that I can share at the moment is that one thing we've been trying to work on this week is we're trying to get the list of accepted businesses locked down. And right now we have 5 businesses that have agreed to be there, which is awesome. And we're going to have a meeting. Latasha's running a meeting on Saturday to brief them on what is required. So here's the thing. Let's see. So 2 of them so far are food vendors. We have Mill City Barbecue and we have Coco's Cafe and Catering. And one thing that the Board of Health folks were very insistent about is that we are not going to be able to have people walking around the common masks down and eating and drinking. We are going to have a designated eating area that is going to have to be cordoned off, and the tables are going to have to be, distantly spaced, and we're going to have someone staff there to make sure that cohorts, stay on their own table and that we disinfect during between uses and all that sort of stuff. And the question there is, where are we going to get tables from? So is there a thing that we can, like, could we maybe, use some money on a catering service that specializes in setting up tables? Is there some town resource that has tables that we can get? What are our options here, I guess, is a big question. And I was waiting for Tricia to raise her hand, so go ahead, please.
There's plenty of tables around town between elections, facilities, senior center, maybe. I mean, I don't think we're going to need that many because we don't have that much space to work with. But I mean, I know elections tables, I've got at least 40, so that's
Okay.
way more than you need.
Cool. Yeah,
We'll
I mean,
just
so
getting them from place to place. I have to coordinate with facilities. And so we'll have to probably have somebody, because it's a weekend event. So maybe what I can do is have facilities bring whatever tables we're going to use over to the CCA on the Friday before, and then we can just pull them out on the Saturday.
cool. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the best place to have the eating area would be in the section of the First Parish parking lot that we get to use. So over on that other side of Westford Street, we're going to have that big area. Like if we put like 10 tables in there, that should be plenty. At least I think that, I mean, that will give us, enough room to have 10 cohorts eat at once. And I'm sure that we'll be able to space them out far enough that we can keep that 6-foot minimum distance between the people sitting at each table. Do these tables also come with chairs?
We have chairs.
We have
as
chairs.
well, yeah.
Awesome. Good to know.
We have chairs.
Okay.
But I have a question. Is your food vendor going to be down there where your eating area is as well? Like, is it a food truck or is it a booth or?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's going to be like a table, and they might have, they're going to have like probably a table that people can come to, and then they'll be able to buy food and then bring it over to the eating area. Like what I'm picturing in my head is that we've got the businesses lined up in, like, say, the parking spots on Westford Ave, in that little strip there along the side of the common. Because we can actually use the parking spaces as distancing markers, I think. So if we could put like just a booth in a parking space and then just bing, 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 bing that down that part of the road. And then we have the eating area in the other side of the street in the First Parish parking lot section. So I think that'll work as a nice, little section we've got there. And then if we have more businesses that show up, then we can always put them on Academy Street.
Right.
And then we can still have, people walk up to there. And as long as we have, and we're thinking of having one person on each corner staff it to keep an idea of keeping the numbers at a good count. So like we're going to have one person over by the CCA side. We're going to have one person over by the barricade. We're going to have one person over by the corner of Academy Street and Westford Street. And we're going to have one person at the corner of Academy Street and Route 4. And so that way we'll have the whole thing, like one person at each section, so that we're keeping track of who's going where.
Did Lieutenant Spence indicate that they were going to shut down Academy Street for
Yes.
this event? Okay.
Yes, we have confirmed that.
Not North Road though.
Not North Road, no.
Okay.
So just Academy Street. So we're
Okay.
going to have Academy Street and Westford Street,
West-
and then the space of the common itself for any, if people just want to sit on the grass, and if we're going to have, performers and speakers using the audio equipment, we'll probably have that facing that direction, like they did for the like they did for the George Floyd vigil last year. Okay, so that's that. One thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cross promote the CCA live stream. They're having a Juneteenth live stream that night at 7 p.m. So we need to cross promote that as part of our thing because they're helping us. We need to help them. And I actually received an email from Rachel today who brought up a very good point, and I thought it deserved discussion over the whole group. So Rachel, if you'd like to bring that up and we can discuss it while we're all here.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that we set the right tone with this event, and I'm really excited about it. But the thing that occurred to me when we were talking last meeting is that we're bringing in like minority-owned businesses, and then we have a predominantly or very heavy white population. And what I don't want it to look like is kind of more like a large white population celebrating with minorities working at the event, because I think I wanted to make sure, right, like this needs to be a day of reflection and a day of celebration, but it just has to have the right balance there. So I just wanted to bring that up as something to consider with how do we make sure that our tone stays right for that. So just kind of opening and considering that.
Carly, I see your hand is up. Or did you want to respond?
Yeah, I was, and I think that's a great point, Rachel. I was wondering if you had given any thought to contacting the Lowell Sun to cover the event, and maybe also mention it before the event takes place. Might bring people from surrounding communities, people of color, to the event if they know that this is taking place.
Yeah, that was one of the
That's
things on my list, and I mentioned it earlier because
I
part
missed
of
that.
part of that is we need to answer the question, why are you holding this event when everything else that's town sponsored has been canceled this year? So yes, we do need to, we are going to contact the Sun. I want to make sure we do that, but we're going to need to have a answer to that question formulated before we do, because we know we're going to get asked it. So that's that.
Now,
Right.
the other thing about that question, Brian, is, I mean, last year our 4th of July parade took place and the vigil took place. I mean, the parade draws thousands of people to Chelmsford. This event is a contained event. It's not, stretching from one end of town to the next. And I know the vigil was considered a political event, but I mean, I think we can just say this is a more contained and not as widespread. It doesn't take as much planning either, because the one thing with the 4th of July parade is that takes a year of planning with getting everybody lined up for that parade.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that was impossible to organize during COVID. If they could have, they probably would have anticipated, if we could have known, see the crystal ball in the future, right?
Right.
But this event isn't that all encompassing, where you don't have that many vendors involved and that many people involved. So that's one simple answer.
Okay, cool.
And it's a new tradition. I mean,
yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah. Latasha, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, I guess I see this event as being an educational opportunity to share with the community what Juneteenth is and why it has become relevant in today's society as something that we should be celebrating. In my letter going out to the different businesses and vendors that we contacted, we stated that we are looking to actually advertise their businesses and their services, not only for Juneteenth, but for future sales and promotion of their companies. I don't see it as something that would cause an issue where people are thinking, oh, well, it's a predominantly white town and we're having Black vendors work. I don't see that being their perspective. I just see it as an opportunity to A, educate people about the holiday, and B, also advertise the businesses that are in the area that can be supported by our community.
I think like really playing that education angle to like, and making sure that we continue to like hone in on that. Like when we talk to Lowell Sun and stuff, I think really sets the right tone too, right? The reflection and the education is really important, and the advertising of the businesses.
Yes, we haven't identified a speaker yet for the event. If anyone is interested, there's a book that we're reading right now. I think we shared it at the last meeting, that Sharice and I are at least reading right now, just so that we can learn a little bit more about the history of Juneteenth. So that's where I plan on drawing some information from.
I think it's worth. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to say, and I really want to see as much visuals on the common, not just have it look like our country fair or whatever we would normally do, like the summer farmers market or anything. That photography exhibit you were talking about, Brian, I mean, it would be really wonderful to be able to put installations of that outside, actually on the common, where you've got the educational pieces right there that people can look at outside rather than going into the CCA. I mean, a long time ago, Latasha, you had talked about, having photographs, actually large scale photographs like around the common. I love that idea. And it's very urban, but I love that it's something different. I want the common to look like a different kind of an event than we've ever done before. So, having all the booths and all that stuff, it's just so, it's traditional, but I would love to get a visual element that would bring that educational piece actually outdoors for that event. So if there's a way to do that, it's probably costly, but again, if we need to solicit donations, if we've got a specific idea, if we want to try to get permission to reproduce some of those photographs from that book you were talking about, Brian, if we can get permission to do that, maybe we can get some sponsors, maybe a business can sponsor each one of them and just come up with a visual. I mean, we can work with our graphics vendor in town and see if they can produce something for the, I had one of our graphic companies build me these triangular columns for the election to show social distancing and things like that. If we could come up with a way to create something like that we could just kind of made out of corrugated, something that's kind of weatherproof, put an image on it and some information and a way to stake it down so they don't blow all over the place. But it gives that visual element and it'll be different. And I just think it would be a great idea to make that educational piece more.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit that when I am trying to think of this thing in my head, the picture that I'm seeing in my head is of July 3rd, because that's my experience, and so I know that I'm getting I know that I have a little bit of tunnel vision on this. So thank you for helping to point this out. And now Joe has been waiting patiently, so it's his turn.
I just wanted to follow up on what Rachel was saying. The name of our committee includes racial equity, so I think we need to embrace that and promote the inclusion into our community, even if it already is a bit lopsided. And the other thing, as far as the event, would we be open to some kind of like DREIC swag that people can walk away with something so that we stay in mind, not just on Juneteenth, but the full year through, even if it's like a little, a pen or something like that, at least we'll stay in sight and mind, and hopefully over time people will continue to be more involved with future events, donations, whatever it may be. I thought that might be something. So if you guys have ideas, or even if we could find a minority owned business that does personal branded items, that might be another way to kind of combine efforts as well.
Back to that yard sign and little flag thing. I don't know.
So if anybody has ideas, shoot me an email or something, and the subcommittee can talk about it.
I just wanted to make a point of clarification around, there'll be nothing displayed in the CCA. Everything will be out on the lawn. So there'll be no exhibits or anything like that. So I just wanted to bring that up. And I also wanted to add, Brian, that Unique You is another business that's going to be doing African food, and they often participate in the Lowell Food Festival as well. So, and I like what you were saying too, Tricia. I think I do believe that it's going to be different and look different and feel different And the educational component will definitely be there, because that has to be there for people to know what it's all about. Because if they walk away not knowing, then the purpose for doing it was just having a good time on the common. So
Yeah,
thank you for bringing that up.
I think what I'll be able to do is once we get past the part of knowing which businesses are coming and then getting the plan to the Board of Health, I will be much less focused on the logistics of the event, and then we can and then we can start focusing on the content of the event. You know, because I've been I've been completely consumed by making sure that I get all the calls made and get all the I's dotted and T's crossed and all that sort of stuff. So, once we get past that, we'll have a good 4 weeks to be able to focus on the nitty gritty of, making sure that we do make it the kind of event that we as a committee can be proud of. And that's going to be, I think, what we're going to need to have the second month of planning of focus be. And so I thank you guys for helping me to realize that. So that's where my my mindset is going to be. So yeah.
And Brian, if you would send me that information on that book, I'll see if I can reach out and get permission to reproduce some of the artwork. If you think that book would be, which one is it? Envisioning and Emancipation. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if they'll give me permission, but it never hurts to ask.
Well, a lot of the photos in the collection that they present in the book are from the Library of Congress.
Oh, okay.
So it should be relatively easy to say, I think we should, promote this picture and this photo and this photo for their different things. Like, one of them is like the one of the ones that was pointed out was the famous photograph of Frederick Douglass, looking sideways from the camera, and he's all dressed up, and his hair is awesome, and he looks like a very, strong and confident individual, which is one of the things that the abolitionists of the day were making sure that they, had their pictures set up to project, was that aura. It's like, Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, all of the Harriet Tubman, all of those folks were putting their photographs out there as a way to promote themselves. And they was saying that Sojourner Truth used that as a way of use selling her photograph as a way of funding her her funding her advancement of her causes. So those are the kinds of things that we can do. And yeah, so a lot of those pictures are in the public domain. Library of Congress, I think a couple are from the Getty Museum, stuff like that. So we should be able to get copies of them for reproduction, for physical reproduction.
Okay, and then they'll have a caption underneath. So if we had those kind of images with kind of a caption underneath, that just different stages of emancipation or whatever. I mean, whatever you think is appropriate.
Yeah, we'll have the subgroup take a look at everything and get that locked down.
Awesome.
So I think Carly first.
Yeah, just curious, do you need our help with, I know you're trying to get the logistics down, but do you need any additional reinforcements in terms of trying to find vendors or people who will participate?
I'm not going to say no.
Oh, okay. So I don't know how many food vendors you're looking for, or.
I mean, so at the moment, like I said, we have 5. We have Mill City Barbecue, Unique U, Studio 26 Architects, Visual Mag, Coco's Cafe and Catering, excuse me, and we have Merrimack Autism Consultants as a maybe. So that's 5 or 6. So you figure 5 or 6 will probably go that stretch of Westford Street. So anything beyond that will probably be going down around Academy Street. So we can probably fit another, at least 5 or 6. So, as far as I'm concerned, the more the merrier. I don't think it's an issue yet, but Latasha has something to say, so I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, I was just going to recommend that Carly join our working group. There's only 4 of us, so if you want to help support.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay, just making a note to add Carly to the working group. Okay. All right, so I think that's all I had at the moment.
I do have one more question for you, Brian.
Fire away.
In your working group, is there somebody who's already assigned to volunteer tasks? Like how many? Because I'm thinking I can help recruit volunteers as long as I know how many, what the job function would be. I can help you recruit volunteers.
We do not have anybody handling that yet because I hadn't even thought of that as being a thing.
Okay.
I can work with you, Tricia, since I'm going to be helping do some of the like promotion and social media stuff. So I think that might be a good marriage of
Yeah. So
tasks.
once you work out the logistics of where you need people to be and how many people and what you need them to do, then I can reach out to the school. I can reach out to my election workers. I can reach out to different people just to see if they want to participate in a volunteer, help out the event.
Very cool.
Okay.
And what?
Excuse me, I might also, I will reach out to the members of the CARES group too. I will, quite sure they will want to be involved, and this would be an easy way to do it, volunteer that day. So I will do that.
Oh, that reminds me of one other thing. Both Latasha and I have reached out to Eric Barber-Mingo over at the Westford Diversity Committee, and he said he was going to get together with the rest of his group and get back to us soon. I haven't heard back from him yet. Have you, Latasha? Okay, so we'll see if we can get some sort of partnership with them. We'll see how much it's going to be able to, how much they're going to be able to contribute, considering that I don't think we're going to be able to add any businesses if they come in beyond the May 22nd deadline. I'm not sure what the Board of Health would have to say as far as that goes. So we may have to just say, here's our business list, here's our site plan, and then once we hit May 22nd, that's kind of locked in as far as businesses are concerned, because then we'll have to do more modifications to the the site plan and the distancing and all the rest of it. So
I agree. I see them supporting us more as, part of the education plan or.
Yeah, exactly. That would be
thing.
really, really helpful. And one other thing I meant to mention is that when I contact the Lowell Sun, Phil and Latasha, I'm going to point them to you guys as the co-chairs, or as the chair and vice chair, because I want them to go through you, so you guys can have the word on what you want to have get out there to the greater community. Okay. All right. I think that now is all I have for this week.
Anything else?
I'm pretty sure that's it, unless somebody else has a question that I haven't thought of yet. Go right ahead and ask. I'll do my best to answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tremendous amount of work. It sounds like you folks have really thought of pretty much everything. So I'm sitting here listening to all the things that you've gone through, and it's very impressive. It sounds like it's going to be great. So just continue doing what you're doing. Again, sounds good. And yeah, we're going to have to be prepared to to respond to some questions. Certainly when the Lowell Sun or others come knocking, we'll need to have some statement that is at the ready that we can provide. So we'll certainly work on pulling all that together.
Mm-hmm.
So.
This is a great team. I'm really enjoying working with my my working group. You guys are awesome.
Good. Sounds good. Who else? Anyone else? Lauren?
Yeah, hi. Sorry you guys can't see me. I still haven't figured out Teams. We had a meeting for the Day of Peace and Justice. I think, Phil, I sent you sort of what we had discussed. I'm really glad Brian's done all this legwork. I can just take and steal everything he had to do to organize it with the players in the town and the lieutenant and all of those things, because I'll be doing the same thing. I'm really happy that Sharice and Latasha are also on it. So we're struggling with the date only because it's the Byam Town Fair on the September 19th. Oh no, September 18th. So now we're going to decide between September 19th or September 25th. And I think as a group, and we talked to Tricia, we'll make that determination for sure, whether it's a Sunday 1 to 6 or the following Saturday 1 to 6. But we came up with a bunch of ideas. We would like to have different groups on the hour, I have a portable stage from the theater that I will set up. I've already sent out a thing to the activities and clubs to get the students involved as well in the Day of Peace and Justice. We're going to have an hour that's Dance for Peace. We're going to contact just different dance companies. Then we're going to have Sing for Peace and contact different singing groups. Then we're going to have an hour on Speak for Peace, where we'll have poetry and speeches, and we'll also name names of people that were unfairly or injusticeably killed or targeted. And we are we're just really initially starting the planning. I know we're going to try to create, as Tricia cited, have sort of a station with stones. So please start collecting stones all summer and put them in a bucket in your house so the kids and people can paint on them. And then we're going to create a giant peace sign in the town common, sort of a living one with the stones and people, and also a peace chain that we may be making. So we have a lot of ideas right now. We're just in the initiation stage, but we'll create a working document as Brian did, and we will gladly copy a lot of what Brian's done. I know that Susan Gates I already talked to, and she said she'd be involved. Some of the clubs said they want to get involved as well at the school. So I'm hoping it'll be a townwide celebration. And the color of peace apparently is blue. So I'm hoping we'll light up the common blue. I didn't know that. I had to look it up. And that's it. I'm all done, Phil. Sharissa, Latasha, you want to add anything to that? No? Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Lauren, I already told my daughter to start collecting rocks from her beach down in Marshfield. Every time she goes for a walk with her dog, she's going to bring back some rocks and hang on to them for me. So they're beautiful. If anybody's ever been to Wrexham Beach down in Marshfield, they're the perfect stones for painting. So
excellent. I should start telling I should start collecting a donation, and all of a sudden at the high school we'll have 1 million rocks. But it's important if we want to do that, because I really do want that visual of the peace sign right in the town. It would be so beautiful, so it's cool.
I know. I asked Susan Gates, I said, oh, what would it take to like commission an artist to like come up with a concept for a sculpture,
Right.
And she's like, oh, you only need about $250,000. And I went,
or we talked to the high school art clubs, because Felix carved out of that old tree trunk the lion.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great. We'd have to get permission from the Historic District Commission. We'd have to, all of that stuff. But I thought, wouldn't it be nice to actually have a sculpture?
It'd be beautiful.
Yeah, it would be. But
so, yeah, I know.
Boy Scouts
was a little bit out of my league. So.
Right. Well, that's okay. We have a little more time with this September. We're not like poor Brian, who is just going crazy. My gosh. But yeah, Brian, I'll help too, June, at least to be a volunteer on that day, but I'm still in school wrapping things up with our film and all that stuff. So, but I will be there to help that day.
Me too.
Sue, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Lauren, please add me to your working group. I'd like very much to help out with that.
And I would love you to be on it. Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
And Brian.
The one thing that I just want to caution you guys on with the big stone peace sign on the common is that as a father of girls who like to leave stuff on the lawn, when you put a rock on a piece of lawn and it stays there for a while, and then eventually when you pick it up, the grass underneath it is dead. So we just need to be careful about not killing the grass on the common and having a big gigantic brown peace sign burned into it for all eternity, because like the stones will look pretty cool, big brown burned peace sign maybe not so much.
Yeah, we haven't even quite 100% visualized how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe we just have them leave all the stones on like all around the steps of the Revolutionary War Monument.
Right. So we're not even 100% sure yet, but but thanks, Brian. That's a good call.
Anyone else? I have one last thing to add, and that's Carly and I are working on our film series, and I actually had a conversation recently with Maria Palacio from the library, and she had shared with me that there's a technology that the library is aware of. It's called Canopy, and what it actually does, it allows the library to access and show a particular film, but it would, I guess, for lack of a better term, and I'm not a technology guy, so I don't know if streaming is the right term or not. But basically, it would allow people to kind of dial in to that particular movie. They would get the movie, they would they would run it, they would project it, they use that technology, but I think they can have up to maybe 200 or 300 people who could access it. So they were saying, hey, if you guys, if we can kind of figure out what film you want to start with, we can kind of pull this together pretty quickly. They seem
awesome.
to be, they seem to be really interested in partnering, with us. And I told them that we've got a lot going on now, right now, but maybe later in the summer or early in the fall, we could start something. And they seem to be very interested in that. And we talked through some things, just some kind of basic things, having like a 2-hour block for the movie and 45 minutes after that to discuss of the movie, and having someone from our team co-facilitate or co-moderate with someone from the library, so that conversation is kind of led and monitored by folks. So they, they're really very excited about it. So I told them that, that was great. I mean, the fact, because one of the things we kind of struggled with is how, if you pick a film, how do you ensure that everybody has an opportunity to see that film?
Right.
I mean, they can't all go to the library and get a DVD or whatever, or they can't all stream it. But with this canopy technology, whatever it is, really allows a lot of access, so it makes it a lot simpler. So stay tuned. I'll be as we get more information on that, and maybe we can get this going, sooner as opposed to later. So but that was a real good conversation we had, and that was great. The other thing I did want to mention quickly too is, and again talking with the library, on June the 28th, they have an African-American writer and poet. His name is Nat Marshall. He just completed a new book of poetry called Finna, and he is actually going to be doing a reading and then a discussion here on the 28th, and they're looking for someone to serve as a moderator. They had asked me if that would be something that I'd be interested in, and I very respectfully declined doing that. But I did, say to them that I would share the opportunity with the team. So, and it's essentially, you'd be introducing the individual. He would be doing his reading and then kind of monitoring the conversation, the discussion afterwards. So if anybody's interested in doing that, just give me a call or just send me a quick email and say, hey, Phil, I'm interested in doing that. And then what I'll do is to send you the contact information of Jessica over at the library, and you guys can take it and run with it from there. So again, if anyone's interested in doing that, please send me an email and I'll make sure that she gets it. Let's see. Anything? Oh, okay. Next, I don't know how I can forget this. Our diversity training. Wanted to check and see how folks were doing. By my count, I know of at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 folks who have completed it, but I didn't know if it. Do we have anyone on the line who has not completed the training? All right, so
I'm almost done.
all right.
I signed
At
up.
least you started. I just want to remind folks that May 15th is the date, and I'm really encourage folks to take the time to do this, because I think it's going to be, it's important just for us to get the training, just so we can talk with each other about some of these items. But more importantly, we'll be sitting down with the select board in June. And just to remind folks, one of the things we all said is that, this population of people could really benefit from training such as we've made available to our group. And I want to make sure that we all have an opportunity to go through the training, ask certain kinds of questions, and when we sit down with the select board and promote it, we can feel comfortable about, we all, I want to be able to tell them, we all took the training, and this is what we felt about it. And oh, guess what? We strongly recommend that you do the training as well, and we're even going to pay for it. So, there's only one answer, which is yes. But just kind of joking a little bit about that. But the reality is, we need to go through the training. So please, please, please take care of that. The next thing, training related, is that once everybody's gone through the training, we do want to have an opportunity to talk about it. I know at our last meeting, there was some conversation around, gee, can we all get together as a group, as the committee, and talk and meet to go over the training in a different forum, not in a meeting forum, not recorded. And the answer to that is no, we really can't do that. What we can do is what we've done with the working groups and so forth. So if we can get into groups of 3 or 4, not a quorum, small groups, to talk about the training, share our ideas, be open, be honest, allow yourself to be vulnerable, just like the training, kind of required of folks, so we can talk through that. And then maybe one person from each of those groups, can meet, together, and we can pull that information together so that at the end, sometime hopefully between now and let's say May 25th, we have some good information on where, what we think about the training and how we can start to communicate those important, issues, to the select board. So, Sharice, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I have a quick question about I don't know if Teams operate very much like Zoom, where you can break off in small rooms, like you can come together and then break off in small groups and then come back together. I don't know if Teams has that ability to do that.
It does.
Okay, great, because that might be a way to do it.
Yeah, my recommendation would be, quite frankly, we worked, in our small group working teams before. I would say we just use that approach. Meet as the small groups, share the information, have one person gather that and collect that, and then we all come together and review some of the information that's come out of that. Because I think I'm concerned that time's going to go by and we're not going to get it all done. That just to be candid with you, we've had a lot of time. We still aren't finished, and yeah, I understand this is not job one, but I want to make sure that we've got this done and we can talk to each other about the training and have some sense as to what it's all about. So if we can commit to getting the training done, and then maybe reaching out in smaller groups to pull some things together, and I'll give some more thought to how we might do it, so we can be specific about hey, this group of 4 people are going to get together and chat, and this group of 3 will get together and chat, so that we can have the conversation. And again, if it doesn't sound fully baked, it's not fully baked. It's just that I'm trying to figure out how we can all have some conversation in small groups and pull that information back together in a larger group. So if anybody's got a better approach, I'm all ears. But
Phil, this is Latasha. May I suggest that you build the groups and just send us an email, and then we will respond to you with what our comments are after we've met as a group?
Sure. Okay. That makes sense. So I can just send out a list, basically sending out a list of, hey, these, this group of 4, this group of 4, this group of 4 work together, and here's a calendar, get back by such and such a date, and let's share that info. Okay. All right. Yeah, I will definitely do that.
I think that's the quickest way to get it done.
No, I think you're right. Yep. I will do it. Any other questions or items? Tricia, did you look like you were about to say something here?
Well, I see Sharice's hand up. I'm not sure if she, no, it's down now.
Oh, okay.
No, it was a mistake. I never put it down.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you.
Great.
You're welcome. No, I'm good, Phil. Thank you.
All right.
Now Lauren has her.
Well, only because I thought, Phil, if by any chance you could put our subcommittees together anyway, then we could have like a double meeting. So I thought my subcommittee could come to my house. I sent them an email already, but I'll send you an email, Phil. If I don't know, because I'd like to see the people that are working in my group, and then we could talk about the training, and then we could also talk about other stuff too. I just thought it'd be convenient. That's all.
Oh, okay.
If you can, Phil.
All right. I'll do my best.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions? All right. So moving down the list, the meeting schedule. Our next meeting would be May the 11th.
No, that's today.
I'm sorry. Our next meeting, the next meeting won't be May the 11th. Our next meeting will be May the 25th.
There you go.
All right. Which is, our only meeting before the June 7th select board meeting. So, we will have a few things to discuss at that meeting. And do we need to go?
I was just going to say, do you need anything from us to prepare for that? Or are you going to primarily focus on Latasha's letter that she had drafted with all?
Yeah. At this point, I'm not sure. So okay. I need to give some thought to how I want to approach the meeting, okay. And then I'll reach out to folks, and we'll kind of go on from there. And then if what I'm thinking at this point, if there's additional information that I need, we can I'll get that from folks on the 25th of May. Okay. So that'll still give me time to collect additional information and have that ready for the June 7th meeting.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions, comments?
No. Is it time for a motion to adjourn, Phil?
It is time for a motion to adjourn, Tricia.
Being 8:25, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting of the Diversity, Racial Equity, and Inclusion Committee.
Anyone second that motion? Brian looks like he's seconding.
His hand is waving.
All right.
I'll third it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you.
Right.
Bye,
Good night,
everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.